Hey friends, Elena Motonono here and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about what happens and what you should do when your product or program or online course does not sell. And before I go into that, I want to let you know that the Online Teacher Summit is still going on and there's so much helpful information there when it comes to creating content that helps you bring clients, as well as what you can do, how you can look at the way you think about your content creation and what emotions come up when you think different thoughts about content creation. Now, it used to really baffled me when people thought about mindset or talked about mindset. It was like, forget about mindset, just give me tips. But what I discovered is that tips without a change of mind is the same as though you're putting a band-aid on top of a deeply rooted disease. If somebody is going through something that is internal and yet all you're doing is just kind of putting little ointment on top of it, hoping that it will go away. So inside the summit, you will find workshops on how to manage your finances, on how to find clients overseas, and you hear from 9 experts on different ways that you can approach content creation that is authentic and that helps you build community. So if you are interested, and if you for one reason or another did not hear about the Online Teacher Summit and this is your first time hearing about that, this event only happens once a year. And the tickets are still available for a few days. You can go and click the link in the description and then you can enjoy the recordings for lifetime. So I wanted today to share with you actually one of the doodles that I created for the Online Teacher Summit, and there was a big lesson that we all did on failure, and it was a guided coaching call that I used the image of fertilizer as becoming our platform for success. But I'm going to share with you one of the doodles and talk about how we deal with failure, why we deal with failure like that, and how we can use failure to take different actions, not the actions that we instinctively take when we fail because of the relationship we have with failure from our past. It's usually coming from the school systems or any other educational establishment. How can we overcome the desire to deal with failure the way we used to deal with it and change our relationship with it so we can actually learn the precious lessons? So I hope you enjoy today's lesson, and if you want to learn more and dig deeper, there's still opportunity for you to join the Online Teacher Summit. Here are 3 most common ways in which we usually deal with failure. And I must say here that most of the time it's hard for us to recognize that this is what we do. Why? Because as language teachers, we always preach that failure and mistakes are good for you. And this used to be me, and it's still me. Of course, I have changed after running a business for a while, but when I was a teacher or only beginning to be an online teacher, in the beginning, I would tell my students, mistakes are good for you. You need to fail. You need to go out there and try and speak as much as you can. You need to write these emails and you need to do this and that. And so because I had such a theoretical, in a way, relationship with failure, it was hard for me to recognize that when it came to me posting and sharing content, looking at the content that was not working, creating online courses, selling online courses, not being able to sell online courses, and what I did afterwards, which I didn't really use the failure of not selling courses as a way to learn. So it took me a while to understand that these are my three most common go-to ways to deal with failure. And now that I have coached and worked with many online language teachers, I know that I'm not alone in that. Here are the ways in which I deal and I used to deal with a failed launch, or when I was selling a product or a course and I would fail. So I would avoid looking at my results. I would avoid thinking about what did I do to fail, right? And how do I define failure? I never looked at what actually worked when I launched a product. I just avoided the whole thing altogether, pretended like it wasn't there. It was absolutely difficult and incredibly overwhelming for me to deal with those emotions. I felt like, oh, I can't handle it. And so I avoided. And then the next time I created something, I tried to mitigate failure as much as I could. Maybe I would lower my prices in such a way that I would just get people to buy from me, and they would buy from me because it was a good deal. I made stuff for free, a lot of stuff for free, so that people could sign up for a product and then thank me later. And then I did not have to deal with this feeling of failure that ultimately comes when you're giving something that is valuable and you're charging for it, and then you recognize that not everybody is interested in it, especially people that you expect to be interested in. So when you're compelled to avoid, I would recommend that after you create a course and the first thing you want to do is like run away and not even look at the data, I would encourage you to coach yourself and to come back to your results and look at them as statistics. Look at them as the weather report. Look at them as you would look at the scores of your favorite team winning or losing, or as you're rewatching the game. It is really helpful to do that. So bring back all this data and find the time, make the time to take a look at what you did for this launch, what worked and what didn't work. Another way is run away. Now, running away from failure means you just don't want to even deal with that ever, and you quit. So for example, you created, you tried putting it out there, and then it didn't work, and now you just say, this is not for me, this is never going to happen to me, I knew it was going to happen. So kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. And then you just run away and you quit and you say, well, I'm not a good marketer anyway, or I'm not a good business person anyway, and that you run away. And in situations like that, what I recommend now when I coach myself is to think about the dream that you have. Will running away from this situation, from these emotions, will it help you get closer to your dream? And if you are running away and trying to distract yourself by, maybe taking a new course or buying a new product that supposedly will help you, pay attention to the things that you do. And again, ask yourself, how is it getting you close to this course being sold again? Okay, and I would encourage you to think about that, and as a strategy to come back to the data and to make a decision whether you are going to chase after your dream or chase away from them, run away from them. And when you run away from them, you're chasing your dreams away, because they can't be chasing after you. So the last one is you get over. It's kind of like you grit your teeth and you say, well, let's just pretend like it never happened and let's start it all over again. So you try again. This kind of person will try again. And I've done that. That was my strategy. I was like, okay, forget what happened. I'm going to try it again. And I would try it again, but I never use data to try again. I would just do exactly the same thing. Maybe I would find another person's blueprint and decide, okay, the first person's blueprint that I used for my launch didn't work. Well, it was their fault, not mine. Not my responsibility. It was their fault. So after blaming people and telling myself that nobody knows how to run a business but me, then I would tell myself, well, I just need to get over it and try it again. So grit my teeth and do it again. And then I would get exactly the same results, right? And then that would confirm that disempowering belief that, well, I'm not a good marketer or I'm not a good salesperson and so forth. So if you find yourself here again, it is really important to try again, yes, but trying again not in a blind way, but in an informed way. And so if you hire a coach at that point, it helps if the coach and you work together to analyze what worked and what didn't work in your previous launch. And based on the lessons you've learned, what are you going to do differently? Because that's ultimately why you're trying and why you go back to debrief and decide, okay, this is what I want to do. And getting over this kind of mentality of getting over something, let me just get it over with and run it again. It's also not helpful because you are bringing back the emotion of resentment that it didn't work. And you're almost vigilant that it may not work again. It's because you hadn't processed the feelings and neither had you processed the results of your previous launch. So getting over stuff is not helpful either in life, in relationships, or in your business. Try looking at the data and making informed decision and coach yourself to tap into the emotions that will help you bring more energy into your launch, the energy of someone who is overcoming and not someone who is a victim and they're just feeling like this martyrdom of going back and doing this all over again. Thank you for watching this video today. I really appreciate your time and attention. If you are an online language teacher who is looking for ways to teach languages in a more sustainable, efficient way, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram at Elena Mutonono. There's also information in the description of how you can sign up for my newsletter and get updates about my events and programs that are coming up, as well as other pieces of content that I put out, such as podcast and other online courses. I really appreciate you being here, and until next time.